Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Friday night. It is really good to be back. This has been an incredibly busy week for me, starting with the weekend, this past weekend, which was Staple 2025. If you're not familiar with Staple, it is, for my money, the best comic book show around. If you like independent comic book shows, which I do. I'm slightly biased. And it was a really good show. It was I think it was their 17th year. Although I was told technically it was their 20th year, but because they took 3 years off, it was their 17th iteration, but 20th anniversary. And for me, I think it was my 9th time displaying at Staple. I'll have to go back and through the archives and look, but I'm pretty sure I've only missed like 2 shows since I moved here. So it was really good. I had what I think and what other people have told me is the best table display that I have ever had. I wonder if I can pull a picture of it up. We're not going to bother with that right now. Woohoo! Friday Night LiveDraw! Yeah, Samantha's here. She's one of my channel members. Hello to all my channel members out there watching this whenever you're watching, and hello to any and all of my patrons. Those of you that are over on retailsunshine.com and you're a member there as well. Now, just as a quick reminder, you can also be a free member over at retailsunshine.com. You can also, if you like the free stuff, you can also simply subscribe right here on YouTube. I said it like that for a reason. I was told recently that if I say that word during a live stream or any kind of video, that the button is supposed to, or wherever it is, over here or over here, I don't know, but the button is supposed to like light up red because I said it. I don't know if it did that, but I'll have to go back and look later. So someone told me that this past weekend, and I said, really? That's a pretty cool little feature that they introduced. So we'll see. Maybe the button will light up red when people watch this. I don't know. Anyway, it was a great show. I met a lot of cool people. Now this year, and I kind of want to do a little bit of like a show debrief with you because it's a big thing. It was my only convention that I have planned for 2025. So, I want to talk about it a little bit. Now, I might have some other appearances later this year that weren't originally scheduled. That is always a possibility. But as far as shows that I was expecting to do, Staple was the only show of this year that I was planning on doing. And it's now over. So what's that mean? Well, it means I really want to spend more time working on the animation, and it takes a long time. Thank you for the heart, whoever that was. Kevin Garcia over on Facebook. Kevin was actually my table neighbor at Staple this year. Kevin and I have done a number of shows together, and it was unexpected and fun to be able to be side by side over the weekend. Kevin does a lot of. Kevin has worked for Marvel Comics, writing books for them, and he has a book out right now, and he has another one coming out real soon, and he hosts panels. He hosted panels this weekend at Staples. So Kevin is a busy fellow. So now, as for the show situation, I had a lot of people come up and first of all say some really, really kind things about my display. I was beaming. There was nothing that was going to derail me beaming this weekend. I was so happy to have the display items that I have, accumulated over the years and put together and designed. So I was like, even if people walked up to me and said, "This is garbage," I would have been like, whatever. That's how good I was feeling about it. But I did not have people say that this is garbage. I had people walk up to me and say, "Wow, this is a really cool display." And I have to tell you, you may not realize this, but as much as it is nice to sell things, and it is very nice to sell things, it's so nice to hear from people that they like what they see. I mean, it costs you nothing. They don't have to do it. And when they do it, it makes you feel good. So thank you for everybody who had some kind words to say. Oh, there's Tony Stark over on Facebook giving me a heart. Thank you so much for that. Much appreciated. So I had some people approach me about another show at this convention this weekend. And these folks run a shop in South Austin known as Planet K. You may have heard of Planet K. It is a, I don't know if you call it a smoke shop or what you call it, but I'm not, like, I've been into a Planet K before, but I'm not somebody who shops at Planet K, but I have been in one. But this particular Planet K, thank you for the heart over on Facebook from Carrie Fisher. Oh, the music is 15% too loud? Oh, really? Wow. I can lower the music, sure. I have it pretty quiet over here, but I will gladly lower the music. All right, let's lower it there. It's a little bit lowered. Let me know if that's good. Thank you for letting me know about that. Appreciate that. So there's a store called Planet K, and there's a couple of locations, but the one that's in South Austin on like the east side, I believe, of I-35, they have a attached part, another part of the building, and in that part of the building, they have an art gallery, like a pop art gallery. And I met the two lovely young ladies who are affiliated. Yeah, it's a bit loud. Okay, hopefully the music is better now. And I met these two lovely ladies who are affiliated with that gallery, and they invited me to come show my art in their pop art gallery. If you're, let me share their Instagram account so that if you're curious about what I'm talking about, you can know for sure. So on Instagram, they are TexPop, so TexPop.atx. So if you go to TexPop.atx, you will see the pop-up art gallery. Thank you for the thumbs up over on Facebook from Cassie Bittner. Haven't seen you in person in a long time since you moved away. I miss you much. Thank you for the love. Okay, and so apparently that means we're in discussion for maybe something happening in July. I may have my work over at this gallery in July. There is another show happening. It's happening in 2 weeks, also here in Austin, and I am in talks with them. It has not been officially. I haven't given them any money or told them I'm for sure, going to be there. But I am making a little bit of discussion back and forth with another art show called Artoon Network, not Cartoon Network. Remove that letter C at the beginning of cartoon. It's Artoon Network. They are a traveling art show, like a pop-up art show. And I've done pop-up art shows over the years. I've shown with raw artists. If you're familiar with raw, if not, you can look up raw. It's literally called raw. Like look up raw artist pop-up show or something like that. And I've done that with them. I've done another one with a group called, started with a C. It was called like Conception. I think it was called Conception. And that was an art show. I only did that one time. But these shows tend to happen at like breweries. And we have a number of very lovely breweries in Austin, Texas. And so the Artoon Network art show will be happening on May 1st. It is a Thursday night, and it is a 4-hour long show. It's a pretty short show because Staple was 2 days, and each day was like, from like 11 to 6 on Saturday and 12 to 6 on Sunday. But Artoon Network art show is only 4 hours, and I believe it starts at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, May 1st. Now, I'm telling you this. Yes, that's the one that's coming to Austin. Yes, that is. They do it in states across the country, but that is the one coming to Austin. And Yes, I may be in that show. They told me yesterday I had to submit my work and give them examples, and then they said, yes, we approve you. And then I said, cool, how do I pay you guys? And then they haven't responded yet. So I'm waiting to hear back from them. So I will likely be in that show. I just can't say for sure yet because it hasn't happened yet. But that's in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from yesterday. And right, 2 weeks from yesterday. Let me look at my calendar here. Yeah, 2 weeks from yesterday. Yeah, less than 2 weeks. It is exciting, Samantha. I agree. Hey, Nicole, thank you for the well wishes. So that's going to be happening, and then, like I said, July I'll be part of the art show from Tex Pop Art that is happening in down south Austin. I don't know what days I'll be involved, but all I can tell you is I went from having only one show scheduled this year to now I've got like potentially a couple others popping up. So if you missed Staple and you really wanted to come see my cool setup, there may end up being a couple more opportunities this year. I wasn't gonna do a bunch of shows because I'm trying not to spread myself too thin. And this past week, preparing for Staple and then doing Staple and then taxes and just it's been a lot. And so I feel like I haven't gotten a ton of drawing done. I've sort of like had to slow my roll. And a lot of my downtime is spent like staring at my TV and just thinking. I don't love that that's what I'm doing with my downtime all the time, but I'm going to tell you, like I've been kind of running a little bit tired, more tired than usual. So thank you to Amy Shimmerman on Facebook for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. That's awesome, says Nicole. Thank you very much. Nice to have a tiny little group formulating here tonight. I really do appreciate y'all being here. It's nice. I can never predict which Friday will be the Friday where people decide to show up. And apparently this is one of the Fridays where people are deciding to show up. So if I haven't said so already, thank you so much. I do these whether people are here or not. But when people are not here, it becomes a lot more awkward that I'm speaking to myself or speaking to an audience that maybe we'll watch it later. It's nice to have people actually here and have some back and forth. So thank you for that. What have last week I think I mentioned these new magnets that I have made, and people were telling me they really wanted one if there were some left over. And I did sell a nice little handful at hey, Megan's here. Hey. I did have a nice little handful that I sold at Staple, but I still have more. Now, if this looks like it's tinted blue, it's because it is tinted blue. There's like a sticky film that you can peel off of here, but I have to keep it on here right now because this is one that I will be selling at some point, and I don't want it to get scratched. So acrylic stuff, it scratches relatively easily if you're not too careful. So that's why you'll see this as a little bit of a blue tint. But if you end up getting one of these, it will not have a blue tint once you peel that top layer away. I don't know for sure what I'm charging for these. Well, okay, let me correct myself. I'm charging $5 for these. However, if you're going to be ordering one and I have to ship it out to you, then now I got to figure out shipping. And the last time I ordered shipped something small like that, it ended up being like a little over $5 for me to ship it. And that's kind of insane. I don't like how expensive shipping prices have gotten. So obviously the best way to get one is in person if you see me at a show. But if you really, really do want a magnet, just send me a private message and we'll figure something out. It very likely will be $5 or more for shipping and then $5 for the magnet. I'm sorry, I don't love that. I'm not a giant company, so I have to kind of go with the way prices are heading. So just letting you know that. It is a special Friday, Carrie. It is a special Friday. Thank you for the heart. Nicole Bell, appreciate that over on Facebook. Thank you for that. So I think I just took care of all the business stuff I wanted to do. let's talk a little bit about the scene that I'm working on right now. So I'm on scene 39, those of you keeping score at home. And scene 39 right now is looking a little bit like this. A little bit like this. I've got a few frames here. I don't know if I can try to. It's really hard to take 3 pages and do the flip thing, but yeah, you can kind of get the idea. So scene 39 is only 3 seconds long, but I am currently 19 drawings into it, and I've got a handful more I want to do because I really want scene. I mean, I want the whole cartoon to be nice, but I really want scene 39 to shine because it's a bit of up close acting, and I feel like whenever there's up close acting, that's an opportunity for me to really, showcase some polished looking animation. So that's what I'll be working on tonight when I eventually turn my camera this way and start drawing. But the next couple scenes, scene 40, scene 41, those scenes, I'm probably going to spend, I'm going to be a little bit more careful about them, probably, because it's kind of this like peak, this climax moment in the cartoon where my main character, after stressing for 4 minutes or whatever the time has been so far, he finally is like at his wit's end. He gets very upset with the warehouse guy, and so he loses his cool a bit, and he's gonna grab the warehouse guy by his shirt and like pull him and kind of yell in his face a little bit, which is really not his style. That's not how he behaves, but he's been pushed to his limit in this picture, and so that's like the whole cartoon's kind of been building. The anxiety levels have been building and building and building. And so now scene 39 and 40 and 41, that's when things start to kind of like bubble over, and the acting gets to be a little more over the top. So all that to be said is that these next couple scenes I'll be doing a lot more focusing on like large gestures and facial expressions. And I mean, I focus on that throughout the whole cartoon, but I feel like I'm going to be putting maybe a little bit extra attention to those things. So let me grab the earlier part of scene 39. I've got like my stack of drawings right here, and I don't know that they're in order they're probably not in order right now, but you can kind of see as I kind of do some flipping here, you'll sort of see some images here. Kind of moving a little bit, right? A little bit. Yeah. Something I like to focus on quite a bit that I do want to talk about a little bit tonight is voice inflection. And it's always been, I would say maybe even down to when I was like a kid, always been a bit of a pet peeve of mine when I watch something animated, and if I can hear the voice actor have their voice do some sort of inflection where if you think of a voice like a musical scale or music notes or a melody, if their voice goes like up here like that, you see how I kind of went, I said the word up, but I hit multiple notes when I said up. I went up, right? If I hear someone doing that and I don't see the drawings that go with that character match that voice, in other words, if the character just simply opens their mouth for the word up and doesn't do any kind of extra bit of maybe opening it a little wider during a syllable change, or maybe their head goes up, or maybe their shoulders go up, or maybe their arms go up, or something like that. If I don't see them do that and all they do is just like the normal motion and all that changes is the vocal performance, yes, you could make the argument that that is a thing that happens in real life. But for me, whenever I experience that, I always feel like that's a bit of a disconnect. I feel like the drawings need to be keeping in step with the vocals. And there's a lot of times where they sort of go their separate ways, and the vocals do their own thing and the visuals do their own thing. And every now and then they meet in the middle, but they're kind of doing this sort of a thing. They're not keeping in step together. You know what I'm saying? They're not doing the working in tandem. They should be working together. That's my 2 cents on that. Thank you to Frank Gonzalez over on Facebook for the heart. I appreciate that. If you are giving me any kind of thumbs up or heart on YouTube, thank you. I cannot see them happening live because the program that I use doesn't show that to me. But I know you're doing it. I know you are. I can feel it. So thank you in advance. Anyway, my point in telling you all of this story about voices and drawings matching up, why am I telling you this? Well, that's because that's what I'm working on right now on scene 39. I've already got the basics drawn out in my 19 drawings. What am I doing now? I'm going back through the beginning part of those drawings and finding places where I feel like the vocal performance moves on the scale and the drawings don't. And so that way I can go back in and add drawings and make it look like they are matching each other and keeping in lockstep. Does this matter to the overall story? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. You could argue that it doesn't. The argument could absolutely be made that I've already done like the minimum necessary for this scene to be finished. But that's not really the way that I'm putting this together. I'm putting it together based off what I want to see. And I would really like to see the animation matching the vocal performance. And so that way, I don't want the voices to stick out and feel like they're a separate entity is what I'm trying to say. So it's for me. I'm doing it because I want to see it that way, because I get really irritated that it doesn't get done that way. And I feel like if something irritates you as an artist and you're going to go and do something about it and you're going to make your own art, what you need to do then when it's your turn to actually make the thing is you better make sure you're doing what you complain about isn't happening everywhere else, right? Because if you're going to bother to complain about it, it's time to put your money where your mouth is and actually make the results happen the way that you want them to happen. That's how I believe about it. So these are not in order right now as I'm searching through these drawings, and I haven't numbered all of them yet, and I'm instantly reminded right now why I number my drawings. I usually wait until after the scene is complete, but sometimes, like times like right now, I wish I would have done it sooner. So I'm going to pull some drawings right now that I know I wanted to do some in-betweening with. And so what I'm doing is grabbing the ones that I remember needed some extra drawings around them. So I'm grabbing those. Yeah, let's go ahead and grab that one there and that one there. Let's see. I need to see what the other drawing that happened after this was. It was, yeah, it was that one. Okay, got it. Okay, so in this scene, and I'm going to turn my camera around so that you can understand what I'm talking about. In this scene, new guy is saying the same word twice. He is saying anymore, and then again he says anymore. The difference is the second time he says it, it has more concern and more intensity. Now, the part that is the more intense part, I am pretty sure I'm done with that part, actually. Carrie says, but what if I don't have any money to put where my mouth is? Well, you can put some garbanzo beans there instead and enjoy a mouthful of beans. I don't know. I don't know where that came from. I just came up with it. Okay. I'm turning my monitor around. I'm going to turn my camera down a bit there. You can see my Stay Puft Marshmallow Man Brigade hanging out behind me. I do enjoy seeing that in the camera. It's pretty cool. All right, so there we go. So So what I'm working on right now, you can kind of see new guy. You can see him have his mouth open. You can see him have his mouth closed and his teeth clenched right there. What I have currently going on is this expression here is open mouth for the word any, right? If you imagine the when you say any, and then the for the of any. That is what this is. Okay. So it happens within a split second, but he says any, and as of right now, it simply goes from this drawing to this drawing, and there's nothing in between. And yes, it technically works, but there's something kind of not complete about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an in-between tonight where he has a slightly more open mouth in between these two drawings. And so when he says any, did you hear how my voice went like up, like any, right? That's how he says it. He says it with his voice going up. So I want his mouth to reflect that sound. When low on money, turn to garbanzo beans. Got it. Yes, if you've learned nothing else from me tonight, I think that is the most important takeaway. Oh, you know, I have another bit of business I wanted to go over because I got a notification from YouTube talking about something that they changed recently. Let me see. They changed something recently with their, their Easter themed gifts during vertical live streams. I'm going to be doing a vertical live stream probably tomorrow night, where I'll just be hanging out with you guys for half an hour and not drawing, but just sort of chit-chatting. If you're somebody that likes to send digital gifts, apparently that is a thing that you can do on YouTube that I have not yet experienced. And they've created some Easter-themed gifts. So apparently this is a way to have people, I don't know, make their comments appear more prominent. If you're making a comment, it's like a way to like put your stamp on the chat, I guess. So if that's something you're interested in, I guess do a little search on how you can send gifts during a vertical live stream. I don't think it works during this kind of a live stream. It only works on the verticals. But just keep an eye out for me going live tomorrow. If you have notifications turned on, you'll be able to get notified. So as it turns out, that is how notifications work. You'll get notified with a notification. All right, so I'm going to do a little bit of in-betweening now, and the purpose of this is to make the word any seemingly match the voice inflection more than it does currently. I'm switching these around. If you're wondering why I just turned the light off and pulled the drawings off, if you want to favor a drawing, like I want to lean into one drawing more than another, then that's the one you should have like closest to you. So I want to favor the one where his mouth is already open, so that's why I rotated them around. In case you're wondering why I do the things I do, I'm telling you. As this is a live stream, if there's a question you have and you're seeing me do something and you're wondering why I do it, you are more than welcome to ask, and I will do my best to answer that, whatever that question may be, whatever that burning question is. All right, so we're gonna between the two, slightly, I'm gonna make the shape of his head slightly, ever so slightly, turn a bit more oblong, because why am I doing that? Well, because I want the sound that he's making to be such a extreme thing that it sort of makes his head squish just a bit. I'm not doing it a lot. It's not a lot of squishing. I'm just doing a little bit so that there's some pliability happening there. we're going to go ahead and start in making his mouth. I'm going to actually turn the music up a little bit. I was going to play some other music tonight, but I guess now I'm playing this, so. I met a lot of cool people at the convention that were really interested in the process of how a cartoon gets made, and a lot of them were surprised that the results I was showing on my tablet that I had with me, that it was not a digital cartoon, that it was handmade. And so that was a pretty fun thing to sort of like subvert people's expectations of what they were looking at, and more or less use them. That was pretty great. So I enjoyed that. And some people were almost getting irritated for me. They were like irritated that I was doing something that is so painstaking. And they were like, well, isn't there like another way you could do this? And it was just funny. It's funny, like watching people, I don't know, it's like they were invested in the time. It was very weird. I don't know why it would matter to them. It's like, wouldn't there be just a better way for you to do this? And don't know. It was funny. I wasn't like mad about it, but I was just. It's interesting to see how people react to what I'm trying to say. And so I was getting some fun reactions about things. I also met someone who works in another neighboring town, and they have a convention in February that I did not do. I have visited that convention before. I've never been like in it, and they invited me to be in next year's show. So that may be a show that I do next year. It takes place at a middle school, I think. Middle school in Round Rock, Texas. And I may even do a panel, an animation panel. So we were talking about all that stuff this weekend, even though it's the better part of a year away. Still, we're talking about it, planning ahead. Other things I've been planning ahead with recently and thinking about is the making of book that I want to put together at some point. And that's probably going to be some type of Kickstarter event, probably. I say probably because, truth be told, I got an email tonight regarding crowdfunding and products that are made overseas. And I've actually seen it from a few different people now posting about it, talking about how prices might have to go up, or people are going to have to adjust what they do because of things being tariffed, and there's no other way to say it other than that. Now, thankfully, like 90% of what I make is here in the States, so I don't necessarily know that anything is going to really impact me. But it might. I can tell you that there are some items I make that are made overseas, and not because I want to do it, but because there are some things that just don't get made here. The reality of it. And specifically, I'm referring to enamel pins. So really, the question is going to be, does that mean I'm not going to make any new pins for a while? And the answer is probably, yeah, that is what it means. I do still have a pretty good inventory of all the pins I've made so far, but yeah, I don't know that I'll design another pin for a while. I'm not sure. I don't like to say that. I don't plan on charging more for the stuff that I already have. I don't plan on doing that. I mean, things like shipping, I really can't really get around that. But I feel like if I already paid for the stuff, I'm not going to start charging more just because it would cost more to make now. I'm not going to do that. But it definitely puts everything in sort of question marks a bit right now, so it's very strange moment in history. I don't think I've ever seen businesses have to make these kinds of almost overnight adjustments. Yeah, I know, not the pins. I know. That's kind of the downside, Samantha. I I mean, I didn't necessarily have another pin that I was like in the process of designing. I can always do those pretty quickly and get them put together relatively quickly. But I think last year I was toying with the idea of another one for this year, and now I'm sort of thinking like, yeah, probably not. What I should actually do instead of speculate, because speculating doesn't really do much of anything. What I should actually do is call the people that I do business with and ask them like how all of this is going to affect their pricing and see what they say and then go accordingly. But you know, I don't love the idea of like passing the cost on to other people. I don't love that, but I absolutely understand why that is what companies do. I just bought some toothpaste like yesterday, and I came home and looked at it and read the fluid ounces on the side, and it was less fluid ounces than the one I currently have, and I haven't bought the one I currently have all that long ago, so I'm not sure when that change was made, but I'm pretty sure they didn't drop the price of my toothpaste. I can pretty much guarantee that didn't happen. So anyway, I'm not trying to get like political. I'm just talking about stuff that's happening monetarily that we now have to deal with, and I'm explaining to you that as an independent business person, it's something I have to consider. I don't make my living selling the work that I make, but you know, that could change. That could change very quickly, right? I mean, all it takes is just a bunch of people deciding to buy something, you know, overnight, and then now I guess I am, right? So I didn't bring any business cards with me to Staple, and so what I started doing more was just talking about the YouTube channel and talking about retailsunshine.com, and I think that is like kind of a nice thing to sort of switch to. I do like having business cards, but I'll be honest, like, people lose business cards and they forget about whoever they grabbed it from. And if somebody says, "What's your Instagram?" and then they say, "Oh, cool, let me follow you now." Well, that's tangible, and I could interact with that person later if I want to. If you hand someone a business card, that's like the end of the exchange, and they walk away. And I've done it for years. There's literally no way to know if that person will ever do anything with the information on that card. You're like putting it in their hands, literally, and then saying goodbye. So as much as I love having business cards, and I had a lot of people ask me for one this weekend, I don't know if I'm going to keep making them. You know, I'm sort of on the fence about it. All right, so I have him doing his little like louder voice thing. I'm not sure you can really see it changing that much, but it is changing. All right, so that frame is good. Now that happens between 1 and 3, so I probably will name that frame 2 now that I think about it. Let me see here. Yeah, I will name that frame 2. Okay, so I hadn't made frame 2 yet. I am going to write the number on this paper right now, so that when I inevitably shuffle these again, I will go, oh yeah, that's drawing number 2. Okay, cool. All right, let me see what the other one I wanted to work on tonight was. Oh, let me put these over here. That's right. I wanted to, this is the looking at camera perplexedly. I wanted to work on that one, and in between that and what is the drawing that happens before that? 13. Yeah. Okay, 13. So I just gotta find 13. Now, if I had labeled all these drawings before tonight, it would have been like no problemo, but there was a good possibility I'm going to be looking for 13 and not finding it. So let me really quickly take a look at what it is on my timeline so I can see what its face looks like and look for its face. Not that. Oh, I think I found it. I believe this is it. I do believe. Yeah. All right. I guess the smart thing to do right now would be to label it, since I just found it. So we're taking drawing 13 and 15, and we'll be making drawing 14. Why is that buzzing? Why is this buzzing? Okay. I'm not gonna say who just buzzed me, but thank you to whoever did that. You know who you are. However, that was an unnecessary thing to send, but I appreciate that. All right, 15. I need to. Sometimes people ask me about my frame labeling process, and I've tried explaining it before, and then the result of that are people looking at me with an even more confused expression on their face. So I can, Samantha, I can see that you used some sort of emoji, but in my streaming program, it doesn't show me the emoji. What it shows me is a little rectangle. Let me show you what it shows me. If you can see, it just looks like a rectangle, unless it was displaying it properly. I don't know what you just put on there. So my numbering system typically has an SC at the front, which SC stands for scene. Hey, thank you for the thumbs up, or was it a heart? It was a heart from Melanie Martinez over on Facebook. Much appreciated, Melanie. So SC is scene, and then 039 refers to scene 39. You with me so far? It's pretty easy to. Oh, the peeking out from hands emoji. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Real slick there. After scene 39, then I have an underscore. That's just a way for me to separate. And then the items that follow is 013, because this is frame 13 of scene 39. Now, that's not terribly complicated. What gets complicated is when I start going back and adding in-betweens between the in-betweens. And then after the 13, then it's like another underscore, and then like a letter, or typically what I'll do is, if I feel like a scene is divided into pretty big chunks, the first group of them will just have underscore and a number, okay? And that's like the first group. And then if I'm going to go into another section, but it's the same scene, instead of underscore number, it goes underscore A and then underscore number, because now we're like into subsection A, and then the number of the frame of subsection A. And so it can get pretty complicated sometimes. I'll have scene and then underscore C for subsection C, and then number. But then I go back and add an in-between, and then it's like a number and then an underscore, another number. So it does get a little complicated. But that's the basic gist of it. I'm going to flip these two around because I want to lean more into where he ends up. And we're going to do a in-between of those two frames, and this is going to be this is going to be frame 14. Yeah, frame 14. I am going to label it right away. That way there's no confusion later, and trust me, there tends to be confusion later. That is just how it goes, my friend. The magnets turned out really, really great. I love them, and they went over very well at the show. And I would probably end up doing more magnets this year before I would do another pin. That might be where this year sort of goes merch-wise, because I might get like magnet happy and start designing more magnets. So, keep an eye out for that, because there's a good chance that's going to happen. Hey, if you're just joining me, thanks for coming in. If you're wondering what I'm drawing, I'm animating a traditional cartoon, or a cartoon is being animated by me traditionally, however you want to phrase that. Traditional animation these days can actually include digital methods. It just refers to the fact of it being flat animation instead of CG. Not to be confused with puppet animation, if you're wondering what I mean by that. Shows like Family Guy use puppet animation, because while those cartoons are flat, you don't really get a new drawing every time there's a movement. What they do is they will make all the shapes that make up that character, and then they will do what's called rigging, which means they create a digital skeleton. Imagine, if you would, a actual skeleton, right? Imagine now that the pieces of that character's body are attached to that skeleton, right? Like stuck to it with a piece of Velcro. Let's think of it like that, like Velcro. You can change those pieces out, but what ends up happening more often than not is the animator does not play with the pieces of the character. The animator plays with the skeleton. And if you move the skeleton around, the pieces follow. So you're not really, like, you are animating, but they call it puppet animating because it's more like being a puppeteer with shapes. You're like puppeteering shapes. Is that a quicker way to do things? Yes, it probably is a much quicker way to do things. They do that for TV because they have to be able to make a bunch of episodes relatively quickly. And do I think that there is value in that style of animation? Yes, I think there's value in every style of animation, even the ones that I don't prefer. But if I'm being brutally honest, like, that style does not hold my attention. Like, I don't love looking at it. I can look at it, I can watch it, but I don't prefer it. And the idea of animating that way is kind of, it's just something that does not sound like a good idea to me. So, but Samantha says how interesting, and so I appreciate that, because I'm glad that was at least worth a little bit of dropping some facts out there into the world. I think it's nice to learn new things, you know. Somebody at the convention was asking me if I do pose to pose, or I'm blanking on the other name of it. But there's like kind of two main disciplines when you're animating traditionally on paper. Pose to pose is one of them, and then like I don't know why I'm blanking on the other one, but the other one is like basically in order. And so let me explain how those two different forms of animation work. Pose to pose, and you've already seen me doing this kind of tonight. Pose to pose is you come up with where the character starts the action and where the character ends up at the end of the action. Those are poses. You create both of those poses, and then it's time to do in-betweening after that, which is all the drawing is in between. sometimes you will have to break down that in-between stuff into subsections because you need to hit certain marks at certain points in time. Like the character their body has to be at a certain place at a certain point. So you would break those down into smaller poses, and then you would do the in-betweens after that. The other type of animation, which is, I don't know why I'm blanking on the name tonight, maybe because I'm tired, but it's just the other kind. You probably could look it up. Basically, you just animate in a row. You don't jump around. You go, this is where it starts, and I'm not going to stop until I just do the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And you don't jump around. You don't go to the end and then come back to the middle. You don't do any of that. You just go in order. There is something to be said for that style as well, but that style that I just described right now typically results in animation that looks more watery, more free-flowing, more Yellow Submarine-y, if you will. And it's definitely a style. I don't prefer it, but there are times when I will use it, and I'll tell you what those times are. If I'm doing a visual effect, if I'm like a couple scenes ago when I was animating smoke, and the smoke was appearing and then dissipating. Pose to pose animation doesn't really make any sense there. You're not posing the smoke. You just want the smoke to move and to look organic and then to dissipate. So you animate that in a row and you stop whenever you stop. And because you do it that way, the lines seem to follow themselves. They move with a bit of watery fluidity to them. When you do pose to pose, you do that because you want your character to maintain his or her shape as you're moving them. You don't want them to be wiggly and morphing, unless you're making a crazy dream sequence or something like that. So those are really the two main styles of traditional. And somebody actually did ask me that this weekend. They also asked me what my frame rate was, if I was animating on ones or animating on twos, and the answer is I'm animating on twos, which tends to be what television animation is designed around. Why is television animation designed around twos? And by twos, I mean a drawing appears and stays on screen for 2 frames instead of 1 frame. I'm animating on, in the past, people have animated on twos because it's less drawing and you save time that way, but you still get a really good result. I'm doing it partially for that reason, but I'm also doing it because I actually prefer how TV animation looks versus animating on one when something is like a major motion picture. I do think there's merit to it, but if you ever look up what animating on ones looks like, it has a very unsettling kind of look to it. And I'm not going for that. That's not the style I'm trying to put out into the world. So I know I did a little less drawing tonight and a little more talking, but I just felt very talkative tonight. And that happens sometimes. And I appreciate you putting up with me. All 2 of you in the room currently. Although I don't know how accurate that counter is. Sometimes I feel like it's not accurate. Remember, I'll be doing a vertical live tomorrow night, probably, at some point. I don't know what time. So if you feel like just hanging out with me and just talking about stuff tomorrow night, that's a good time to do it. I had lots of updates. I did have lots of updates. That's true. Thank you for pointing that out, Samantha. I did have a lot of updates tonight. I just felt like it had been a while since I sort of gave a little bit of a, you know, like, here's the state of things. If you notice that my pencil lines are kind of, you know, a little bit messy, that is because this is what's known as a pencil test. And it's kind of meant to be messy. It's just meant to sort of get the idea across, and then going back later when you do cleanup is when you clean everything up, so to speak. And I was thinking about it earlier tonight, the way that I animate is probably somewhere in between doing rough pencils and cleanup. I think I'm doing a little bit of both at the same time. So that means my cleanup process shouldn't take as long because I'm taking longer on my roughs. The roughs really, if I was doing it like with speed in mind, the roughs would be rough, like pretty darn rough. And that's kind of not how I'm doing it. I'm trying to it looks like it's gonna look. And it isn't like I have to follow any particular way of doing something either. Like, I'm just giving you guys techniques and things like that that are sort of tried and true. I feel like I'm always learning. Every time I do a new scene, I feel like I'm learning something, which makes this project really excellent for me because I love learning new things, but I also love improving, and I feel like this is exactly the project I need to improve myself. I was showing the progress of what I've got so far to a buddy of mine the other day, and he sort of did a video scrub. I might have said this a week ago or something. I think I remember saying this, but he did like a little video scrub with his finger, and he looked through the whole thing, and he said, "Oh, you know what? I can kind of see your drawings, not like dramatically, but he's like, I can kind of see your drawings getting better if you scrub through the video," and which is not a bad thing, but you know, ideally you want it to be consistent from beginning to end. That's like the goal. However, I've been working on this project for, you know, multiple years now. So for me to expect to like not have things look like they're getting better is sort of a ridiculous thing to expect. So, yeah. All right, well, that's that in between. I think I'm probably going to call it a night there. And yeah, I think I'm going to call it a night there. I feel good about that. I did another drawing before starting live streaming tonight. So technically I got 3 drawings done, which may not sound like a lot, but in the past few days, I've barely been able to get like 1 done per day, just because of my schedule and being really tired. So I'm gonna call this a win, getting 3 drawings done in one night tonight. I definitely am in need of another art day real soon, where I just dig in, stay home all day, and just work on it all day. And that's probably gonna happen for me on Monday. I think it's gonna happen on Monday. I'm hoping. So yes, tomorrow is the weekend. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I really appreciate you hanging out with me. Thank you for any and all support, whether it be, you know, thumbs ups or hearts, or if you're one of my channel members, or if you're a patron. Thank you very much for all of that support as well. And I guess I'll see you guys probably tomorrow on the Vertical Live. Yeah, that's about it. I appreciate you being here. I'm going to call it a night. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me.